I would like to invite now Sally Nobinger, Anna Fan, and Laurianne Posch from the Immigrant Learning Center. They are career and education advisors at the Immigrant Learning Center, coming from very different backgrounds, but together they prepare our students for future life in the US, outside of the ESOL classroom, such as educational certification, workforce development, career development, and even citizenship. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. We are very happy to be here. Let's start. Our topic today is education and career advising. And let's start with an overview of the Immigrant Learning Center. The Immigrant Learning Center is located in Malden, Massachusetts, a city north of Boston. And at the Immigrant Learning Center, we are serving currently 365 students in our summer session from April 22nd to August 18th. And then there are 44 countries represented, with Haiti being our largest population, followed by Brazil, China, Morocco, El Salvador, and Colombia. The median age that we serve is about 54 years of age. And at the Immigrant Learning Center, we offer citizenship and literacy classes. There are 4 levels also of ESOL classes, from beginning all the way to high intermediate. And for the literacy and ESOL classes, there are 2 schedules. So we have a morning time from Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. and also an afternoon time from Mondays to Thursdays from 12 to 3 o'clock p.m. And our sessions typically run 14 to 15 weeks long, and there are about 3 sessions in a year. And after students finish with level 4, they have an option to also join our Next Steps class. And this is a 4-week remote course, and it's designed to prepare students to take the next steps, either to go into college preparation, job training programs, or if they want to start or restart a new career. Now we have a requirement, or 2 requirements, having a high school diploma or equivalent, and also a work authorization. We also prefer that students have computer, reliable internet connection, and basic Zoom skills. Now, I'm sure that some of you might run into this too, that maybe students don't have computers. Well, at ILC, we loan them a computer if they're interested, and then we also give them a very quick crash course on Zoom skills. And the schedule is from Monday to Fridays from 9 o'clock to 11:30. And we have these requirements, preferences, and schedule partly because this will coincide with some of the training programs that we will also introduce to the students. Now, some of the topics in the course can run from SMART goals to Mass Hire CIS website. That's a website for students to explore their career in Massachusetts, transferring your degree to the United States, and also visits from program representatives. So we collaborate with other programs and we invite them over, and they can present some of the different programs that they have, and students can meet them. And these are just a few of our topics. And we teach this class together as a team. So the 3 of us, Sally, Laurianne, and myself, teach it together. And so if you look at the picture on the right, this is a recent summer class that we just finished.
All right. Hi, everyone. So now we're going to quickly walk you all through the details and general format of how the education and career advising program works at the Immigrant Learning Center. So there are 3 full-time employees that comprise the education and career, or we like to say E&C advising team at the ILC. Myself, the advising coordinator, Laurianne and Anna, the education and career advisors. And on this slide, you see the highlights of our primary responsibilities in these positions. So as advising coordinator, I do the overarching logistics, scheduling, coordinating type duties. So if you look on the left, Some examples of what that means. So I manage the advising calendar. So each session I map out, figure out when Anna and Laurianne are going to be going into the classrooms to lead education and career workshops, which I'll talk about more in a moment. I coordinate and lead meetings with the classroom teachers and the education and career team, as well as other advisors, because our ESOL program has other advisors outside of the education and career team, and we have monthly check-in meetings. I periodically check in on the curriculum that Anna and Laurianne are working on. I maintain program lists for outside referrals, so keep up to date on the other free programs in the Boston area that our students could transition to after their time at the Immigrant Learning Center. I attend WIOA meetings, things like this. Whereas Laurianne and Anna, in their roles, they're more directly student facing. So they're the ones going into the classrooms to lead workshops. They develop that curriculum, they meet one-on-one with the students, etc. So the one-on-one student meetings are required for level 4 and next step students, but other students can request to have these meetings as well. And here you see a list of some examples of topics that might be touched upon in those meetings. So it could be anything from a student coming in and saying, I need help finding a job, or I need support writing my resume in English. I'm interested in applying for a HiSET program, things like that. So I would say the workshops are really the heart of the advising program at the Immigrant Learning Center. So each session, each class has an education and career unit. And during this unit, the education and career advisors conduct push-in workshops where they go into the classrooms and, working in conjunction with the classroom teachers, they lead lessons on really important topics connected to education and careers. And on this slide, you see like a map of the different topics that these workshops cover across the different levels. So as Anna mentioned earlier, we have 4 ESOL levels in our program, and we go in from the beginning in level 1 and start discussing with the students ideas like, what are your goals? What are your skills? What are your interests? And then as the levels move up, we add more and more lessons, more rigor. And by the time we get to level 4, we have 12 really robust education and career workshops that we're doing with the students. The asterisks you see, this indicates lessons that use Chromebooks. So we've made a really big push, particularly in the past year, to up the digital literacy in these workshops. Time-wise, the workshops are generally about 90 minutes long. And as previously mentioned, for topics that repeat across levels, rigor is added as the levels progress.
Hello, everyone. So with all of these lessons across all of these levels, it's really important to stay organized, both the students and the advisors. So students have a dedicated folder for their education and career workshop materials. And this has 2 key benefits. 1, students practice personal organization, which are important skills to have for the workplace. And 2, it makes materials easier to find for cumulative activities that students do later in the workshop series. And one example of a cumulative activity that we do across all the levels is what we call the Who Am I reflection. This is where students consolidate their work from the previous days about their goals, their skills, their interests, etc. And they compile it into one Google Doc that they then share with their advisor. And this helps us keep track of the many students under our caseload to provide more personalized advising. But it also allows us and the students to track their goals over time. So for example, if a student started with us in level 1 and continued all the way up to level 4, we could compare, right? What were their goals in level 1? What are they now in level 4? How are they the same? How are they different? And we'll take a look right here. This is an example of the level 3 Who Am I reflection. You'll see there's space for students to type in their goals, their skills and their interests, and also their job values. And this also allows students to practice their digital skills, right? So here they're practicing their typing skills and their Google Docs skills. Another key part of our role here at the ILC is helping level 4 students transition from the ILC. So level 4 is the last level of official ESOL classes here, and everyone has a different path afterwards. And we want to make sure that they're ready for whatever that next step is going to be. And we do that in a few ways. So as Sally mentioned, we do have the really robust workshop series in the level 4 classes. Those students participate in 12 workshops as compared to the slightly fewer number for the lower levels. They also have a mandatory advisor meeting during class time. So regardless of what they might have going on outside of class time, they will get their time with their advisor. And we provide follow-up as needed or desired. We also have 4 program lists that we keep updated 3 times a year. These have information about nearby free ESOL programs, high school equivalency programs, job training programs, and college preparation programs. And we have a corresponding color-coded pathways map to help students navigate this. So we'll take a look at that map briefly here. This is our pathways map. We always remind students they're here at level 4 at the ILC, and we walk them through this. It looks like a lot. It is a lot to explain, but we spend some time walking them through it, the requirements of different options, and we find it does help solidify for them where they're going and how can they get there.
So as you can see earlier, as mentioned by both Laurianne and Sally, we go into the classroom. So we work with a lot of students, and ways for students to communicate with us is using WhatsApp. And here are some ways that students do that. And also advisors, we use that to check in with students. Another form of communication we do have, which we each have our own work phones. And so with a work phone, it helps us as advisors to also have a work-life balance. And it also helps students to know the exact time when to contact us. So that's really a helpful tool for students. And another important aspect of the advising program is our pre and post meeting with teachers. And so with the team, we set up these meetings with the classroom teachers. And in the pre-meetings, we usually meet right before the push-in workshops. And during the meetings, we establish logistics with teachers. For example, like the schedule, when do we come in? How long are the workshops? How many workshops in this particular unit? And so during that time, we also make sure that we align our workshop with the teacher's education and career unit. So Sally mentioned earlier, all the classes have an education and career unit. So we as advisors come in during those times to support the teacher. And also we talk about some co-teaching not rules, but roles. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. And then also after we finish our push-in workshops, we have post meetings. So during our post meetings, we reflect and talk about some successes and shout out so we can celebrate. But we also look back and reflect on some of the content and maybe how the time goes or areas that were challenging as we were doing these workshops, and then discuss about possible or changes for the curriculum for the next session where there's needed. And now these meetings are really important because it helps us to stay more current and relevant in our curriculum. And another way that we can stay relevant and current is working together with the teachers as we co-teach together in the classroom. And during that time, this is a great way for teachers to familiarize with our curriculum, the E&C workshop materials for the level, but it gives us as advisors also some face time with students, but also to work together with teachers to support them. And as we're teaching, this is a great way for students to be engaged in the material, and they get interested in that. And as they engage, this is also a great way for students to have a more holistic English language learning. And what I mean by that is just connecting certain grammar points to relevant content materials.
Okay, so now we're going to take a closer look at some of the workshop curriculum and see how it progresses across the different levels. So here's that slide again that shows the different workshop lessons across the 4 levels. And we are going to take a closer look at the goals curriculum, because this is the topic that we first go into the classrooms talking about. And it's a topic that we discuss across the board from level 1 to level 4. So this slide is like a visual example of what an opening slide would look like for the goals lesson in the classrooms. So up front, we elicit from the students, what is a goal? What does that word mean? And we try to make sure that everyone has a really clear understanding of what it means to be working towards a goal. So for level 1, the images you'll see moving forward, these are the handouts that would be distributed as a part of the goals lessons. So for level 1, we open by talking about different examples of different goals that our students might have. And it's important to note that for the lower levels, we are talking about goals in a broader sense. So not just education and career goals, but also other life goals that our students might have. So for example, on this list, you see get a job, get a better job, but you also see things like buy a house or become a US citizen. So on this worksheet, the students are rereading the examples that we discussed, and they are circling, they're identifying the goals that are true for them. This would then transition to a brief structured speaking activity where the students would work with a partner and take turns asking and answering, what are your goals? I want to buy a house. I want to understand my doctor, for example. And harking back to what Anna said recently, this is an example of that holistic English language learning, because many of these lessons incorporate grammar points. They're embedded into these lessons. So here, the level 1 students are practicing using the structure of I want to plus base verb in the context of talking about their goals. And then the lesson would culminate with this brief writing activity where the students get to choose their top 3 goals that they identified for themselves and write 3 complete sentences using I want to do this, I want to do that. Level 2 starts similarly. And again, here we're still talking about goals in a broader sense. As you can maybe tell, though, the list is a little bit longer. It's been expanded. And we talk about different examples, and the students are identifying the goals that are true for them. And in level 2, the speaking activity, the complexity gets bumped up a notch, because here the students not only have to say what their goals are, but they have to explain why they have those goals. So they have to practice giving a reason using because. And again, the culminating writing activity, so the students would identify the 3 most important goals for them and write 3 complete sentences, but this time using I want to and using because and giving a reason. In level 3, again, we're opening by talking about different examples of goals that our students might have. They identify the goals that are true for them. But in level 3, we start to make this shift to focusing more specifically on education and career goals. Level 3 is also where we introduce the concepts of long-term and short-term goals, and how short-term goals are like the steps you need to take in order to achieve a long-term goal. So for this activity, there's this graphic organizer. The students would identify a professional long-term goal that they have, and then try to think backwards and identify the short-term goals they would need to meet in order to reach the long-term goal. And they fill out the graphic organizer, and then they would be given some time to discuss and share with a partner. Level 4, we start again with this idea of long-term goals versus short-term goals and how they're related. The students would fill out the same graphic organizer identifying a long-term professional goal. They would be given time to discuss, to share. But then in level 4 afterwards, they would be expected to produce a well-organized, well-thought-out paragraph communicating about their long-term professional goal. So I know that was a lot of information very quickly, but hopefully that gives you guys a helpful snapshot of how we take an education and career topic and differentiate it and add rigor across different levels.
All right, and so that brings us to the final segment of our presentation, the why. So why do we do all of this? Our practices are both rooted in standards published by the state, as well as proven effective by data and feedback that we've collected from the students. So the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education published a document called Indicators of Program Quality for Community Adult Learning Centers and Correctional Institutions. And there are many indicators for different areas. Indicator number 7 is the one for advising, and it says here, advising and student support services. The program ensures effective and equitable delivery of advising and student support services. And then below that, there are 2 standards that programs should aim for. However, because this is relatively brief, SABASE, which is the Massachusetts Professional Development System for Adult Education, published a document, and it's called Effective Practices Aligned with Indicator number 7. And this document, it's not an official document published by the state. It's more of a professional development document, but it's created with evidence-based practices, professional wisdom, and more. And they really see advising not as a person, but as a program. And so the effective practices are broken down by what, for example, the director would do, what the staff with advising responsibilities would do, and then programmatically as a whole, what everyone in the program would be doing. So I've selected an excerpt here to highlight of an effective practice for staff with advising responsibilities. It says that they use technology tools to engage learners, offer support, share community resources, complete education and career planning activities, and develop digital skills inside and outside the classroom. And we've chosen to highlight that because, as Sally said, this is something we're proud of having ramped up a bit over the past year. We're lucky to have a class set of Chromebooks in each classroom, and we're doing our best to continue to integrate that more and more into these workshops. However, we know that these practices aren't just written as effective. We're also gathering data to see that they are indeed effective, also from the student's perspective. So here's some data from our most recent Next Steps class participants. We administer a pre and a post-class questionnaire, ask the same targeted questions. And this question was, on a scale of 1 to 5, how familiar are you with college preparation and job training programs in the Boston area? 1 being not very familiar, 5 being very familiar. And you'll see at the top here on the pre-class questionnaire, the majority of students skewed towards not very familiar. Just 4 weeks later, at the time of the post-class questionnaire, you'll see here they skew definitely towards the familiar or very familiar. So we were happy to see that. Another example of some data we've collected, this is our most recent level 4 workshop participants, administered to 28 of those students. We asked after the workshops, do you feel more confident about topics like your professional goals, filling out job applications, and interviewing? And 100% of the students said yes, they do feel more confident after the workshops. So again, this is encouraging to us. We also gather data, make improvements as well. So at the end of the day, we're doing this for the students, and it's encouraging to see that it is effective from their perspective as well. Thank you for listening.